Hey all of you out there in Eorzea, welcome to She Heals, I Tank, your weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. Today is Friday, August 30th, and this is episode 184 of the Shit Podcast. I'm your host, Vegan Pete, and always by my side, the wonderful, the lovely, the having a birthday this Labor Day.
Hey guys, Avi Ale here. How you doing?
It's Avi Ale, and that sound...
My birthday weekend!
That sound I think you heard was a sub from Chuckletopia.
Thank you, Chuckle.
Thank you so much. 6 months total in that. And thank you to all the amazing people out there, either listening via the podcast or joining us here live at twitch.tv/SheHealsITank. If you found us from the podcast, we'd love to see you here in chat at Twitch. It's a fun time. Love seeing the comments from you guys throughout the show, letting us know when we got shit wrong. And we do it live every Friday at 6 p.m., sometimes a few minutes late like today.
Pacific Standard Time.
But speaking of those of you joining us here live, we have some subs to shout out this week. We have Catterpants for first time sub.
Catterpants!
Along with Disco Cub, Darth Vega, Livian12, Chansum.
You said that, so it's not Catterpants.
It's Catterpants.
There's an R in there.
Catterpants.
It's not C4RTER. They're right in chat right now. You totally mistyped it.
Oh, Carter Pants. I'm dyslexic. I'm sorry.
Cater pants. Sorry, it was too perfect. Oh, okay. That's right.
It looks like Chuckletopia just upped that sub to a tier 3.
Oh no, someone else has my face.
So let me try this again. Carter Pants, Disco Cub, Darth Vega, and Livian12, all first time subs. Thank you so much. Now we have Chansum5, Aoi Mizuki for 2 months. Holden Koffel, Drakomnikon, Misplays for 4 months, Nexosu 82 for 5 months, and Jessa for 6 months.
Teaching Pete to slow down when he reads.
That may be the worst I have flubbed
no,
the subs in quite a while.
Oh, well, but my favorite mispronunciation is still Pisky Games. Nothing has topped that one yet.
Pisky. All right, so what's on the docket this week, Avi? We have a small patch to go over.
I have no idea because you were super nice and wrote the entire outline because I was out eating with my parents.
Now you know who to blame if it's all sucks.
So I'm going to flub a lot.
It's Avi because she didn't help. We've got a small patch to go over, patch 5.08 tonight. We have a discussion topic that got a lot of conversation going in our Discord this week. We're going to skip over some of the MSQ recap this week, but we're going to give out some awards for the first half of Shadowbringers.
We are?
Which is all a news to you, Avi.
Yeah, so, I have no idea what we're talking about in this outline because Pete is very last minute guy, so he tends to finish the outline like right before we have the podcast.
I could have gone easy on you and just done story recap. That's easy enough for you to read. I know. You're so good at that.
I'm good at reading.
But I was kind of bored of that. And If I'm kind of bored of that, then I'm sure some listeners are bored of that as well.
I didn't mind taking a break. So because it's a lot of story.
I thought we would change it up a little bit. So we're still going to be discussing some Shadowbringers and stuff that we've already recapped. But we're going to go a little more in-depth. We're going to do stuff like most valuable player for the first half, least valuable player. This is mostly to give you a heads up on what we're doing right now, Avi.
So I got to start remembering people's names.
We're gonna go over them.
Everyone's gonna be so annoyed with me, like, God,
I
Avi.
think it's gonna be a really fun show tonight, though. But before we get to any of that, we have everyone's favorite segment,
Greenleaf Minute.
It's the Greenleaf Minute, and this week we're talking about Allagan Tomestones of Poetics, Avi. Tomestones are a major currency of Final Fantasy XIV, and the Tomestones of Poetics is the first one that you start earning. You'll be able to start earning these once you hit level 50, and they are going to be your main Tomestone all the way to level 80. And this is different. If you're just starting now, this is how it's going to be. When we were going through it the first time, every expansion we had a bunch of new Tomestones to learn. But once a new expansion hits, everything from the previous one gets shuffled down into Poetics. So that is why you are able to get everything from Poetics right now.
That makes sense.
So once you start accumulating poetics at level 50, you'll be able to head to Ariana in Mordana and start buying some Ironworks armor, accessories, and weapons, which are all eye level 120, which is going to be quite the upgrade from the gear you're most likely wearing as a fresh level 50, which is probably your like AF gear that I think is like eye level 90. So it's a big jump.
That's a big jump. It's probably the biggest jump you're going to get.
And thank you so much. A sub from Kaizenken, 2 months. So yeah, eye level 120, that's probably like a 30 eye level, at least a jump from what you're in. And then you'll also be able to buy upgrade items from the same person to upgrade those to item level 130. And that's the highest level armor and accessories you can get at level 50. If you have a group that's willing to run you through Coil Raid Series, you could get an eye level 135
Not worth it though, because you're going to level past it so fast.
Yeah, you're probably wanting to keep on going on that MSQ and keep on leveling up before you go back and do that. It's a fun raid series, and this one actually has story to it. But before we move on to the next place to spend some poetics, Avi, I want to make sure that everyone knows that this eye level 120 or 130 gear is not really sufficient to take you all the way to level 60.
No.
The drops from the level 53 dungeon and on, or level 53 is 130, and everything beyond that is above 130. So you definitely want to start replacing any eye level 120 poetic gear, and sometimes the dungeon drops will have better stats than your eye level 130 gear at that level
about
130 dungeon, level 53.
53.
So you'll want to replace some of those.
The same thing kind of happens at level 60 with the 60 gear you get at about 63, 64. The dungeon gear is better. Same with 70 to 73. Like it's kind of the trend that Square Enix does with the
let's just say 53, 63, 73. Once you start getting to those dungeons, start replacing your gear with dungeon gear.
Item comparison is your friend.
As you're replacing your Ironworks gear with your dungeon gear as you level up, the next set of tome gear will unlock at level 60. And lucky for you, you still get to use the Tomestones of Poetics that you've been earning since level 50. For your level 60 Poetics gear, you'll need to head on over to Idleshire and talk to Hismina. She will sell you the Shire armor, accessories, and weapons, which are base level eye level 260 and then eye level 270 if you buy the upgrade item and upgrade them. Again, you can use these for about 3 levels before you should start replacing them with dungeon gear. And quickly, I should say, I've been saying replace it with dungeon gear, but you can also replace it with crafted gear off the market board if you like.
Yep.
You could be tired of running dungeons, even though you're probably, when you're leveling up, you're probably only running each one once or twice. But
unless you're like me and you're farming for the glamour.
Yeah, if you're farming for glamour, you're probably going to get your pieces. But honestly, if you have 2 bad runs of being unlucky, you could end up with no gear at all to upgrade.
Well, what levels do they change it where you automatically do get a piece of gear for the class you're playing?
That's not until Shadowbringers.
Okay. I thought that happened. Oh yeah, I thought it happened in Stormblood. No, it happened in Stormblood.
It happened with the weapon coffer in Savage.
Happened in Stormblood.
Not from quests.
No, from dungeons. The end of the dungeon, you got a piece of gear for the class that you're playing. So you're guaranteed to get a piece of gear for the class that you're playing in that dungeon at the end of the dungeon.
As always, send your corrections to at SheHealsITank on Twitter.
I'm pretty sure I remember getting it in Stormblood. I could be wrong, but I know that it definitely happens in Shadowbringers.
So, if you run some dungeons...
Chili just said I'm correct. I'm correct. I was right. Ooh. Sorry, Buscemi. I just woke Buscemi up.
But
get it level 61 to 69 dungeons.
If you can't get a drop, if you haven't got a drop for the piece you need to replace, check the market board, because sometimes you can find something really cheap.
Relatively affordable. How about that? I don't know.
You never know. Like, sometimes I get some shit that my retainer brings back. I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to sell for a ton. And then I go to put it up and it's like 500 gil.
Fair enough.
So now you're grinding through Stormblood and through your 60s. Once you hit 70 is when you unlock the next set of gear you can buy with Poetics. This set is called the Skaven gear. And like previously, you can get armor, accessories, and weapons. This gear starts at eye level 390 and with an upgrade bumps up to eye level 400. And at this point, congratulations, you made it through all the previous expansions and you're now ready to start leveling your way through Shadowbringers.
Woohoo!
And that was kind of spurred on by the discussion we had in our Discord, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So always keep your
What was
gear
it about?
up as much as you can. And now it's time for Avi's favorite segment. It's the tweet of the week. It's the tweet of the week. And this one is from Alicia, who was telling a friend.
That was the cat, not me.
Telling a friend to go listen to this podcast. I listen to them while I work. They talk about more than just endgame stuff, so really anyone can listen regardless of where you are in the MSQ, minus spoiler casts, of course. So, and that is what we tell people to do. That's one of the best ways you can support the show, is simply tell a friend. So, thank you so much for that.
You tweeted.
Tweet of the week. Thank you so much for the tweet of the week, Alicia. Now it's time for news and notes from around the realm.
Let's kick it off with the news that ninjas, samurai, and summoners have been waiting for. Patch 5.08. These are the 3 jobs that Yoshida said they were still working on adjustments for during the last live letter. First is ninja. They got some potency increases, including Spinning Edge, Gust Slash, and Shadow Fang, all got a 20 potency increase. Aeolian Edge got a combo potency increase and a rear combo potency increase of 40. Armor Crush got a combo potency increase and a rear combo potency increase of 50. And for their ability Bunshin, Shadow attack potency has been adjusted based on the attack performed. Melee attack potency 200, ranged attack potency 100, area attack potency 100. They also made the help text for this ability clearer.
And I, unfortunately, just like full on disclosure, neither of us play these jobs, so we're not going to have too much to add. From what I've been seeing, the samurais and the ninjas aren't like thrilled with this. They're like, okay, it bumps us up a little bit. But if any ninjas, samurais, or summoners want to call in and chime in with these changes, whether they sucked, whether they were awesome, we'd love to take your call on that. Just join in that Discord and jump into On Deck.
Well, people in chat are commenting that Samurai isn't super happy. So Samurai had Hakaze, Jinpu, and Shifu all get a 20 potency increase. Gekko and Kasha got a 10 potency increase. Higanbana damage over time potency has been increased by 5. Kashi Higanbana damage over time potency has been increased by 8. And to round things out, Hisatsu Kaiton's recast time has been reduced from 5 seconds to 1 second. That all sounds like good stuff, but I don't know why they're unhappy. Maybe it's just because their changes weren't as good as the other classes' changes.
Avi skipped over my weeb joke. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Carter Pants is saying, these are the only DPS classes they play. And wowee, they made me happy.
That is awesome.
But Chili's saying, Samurai isn't happy because they are now the lowest melee DPS.
That's what I'm saying. So it wasn't necessarily the changes they made for Samurai were bad. It's that they weren't as good as the changes for Ninja and Summoner. So speaking of rounding out the job changes is Summoner. They are changing up Ruin a bit. So Ruin 1 now reads as the additional effect. If target is suffering from a bio or miasma effect inflicted by you, Ruin potency is increased to 130 for one effect or 180 for both. Has been removed. And don't know what that means. And the base potency has been...
Just read it.
I did. And the base potency has been increased from 80 to 180. So it seems the big change is that you no longer need bio and miasma up to get the big potency. At the same time, and that same change was also applied for Ruin 2, 3, and 4. It will always hit for the biggest potency regardless of whether or not you have bio or miasma up. And I think that's because I had read somewhere that they have an ability that causes bio and miasma to drop off. So once an ability completes, those dots drop. And so that was really frustrating for the summoner because the potency of their Ruin casting would drop as well.
So they had to like clip it before it could finish, clip the dots?
I'm not sure exactly. I haven't been playing it.
And some other miscellaneous notes to round out patch 5.08. Submersibles can no longer be deployed on exploratory missions when submersible speed is 0. Can't go anywhere if your speed is 0, Avi.
Makes sense.
In Doman Mahjong, the probability of waits occurring after a player discards a tile has been reduced, And I played a lot of Mahjong. I haven't played in a while, but I have no idea what that means. I don't remember.
Oh, good, because I was like, what does that mean?
I don't remember anything called weights. Anyways, the appearance of the ground in certain areas of Dungeon Mount Gulg have been adjusted. And good news for those of you on Spriggan and Twintania on the European Data Center, housing is now available. However, housing has only been made available to free companies, and they will evaluate the housing market and decide when to remove restrictions on sales to individuals. And I wonder if that same system is going to come to any new areas of housing, like if we get Ishgard housing. What do you think, Avi? Do you think once they release Ishgard housing, are they going to, in the introduction, are they going to limit it to free companies?
That's what they did last time, so yeah.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did. In Stormblood,
I could have sworn day one when Shirogane was added, I went there and bought a
free company house.
Personal house.
No, your personal house was always in Lavender Beds. The free company house was in Shirogane.
Did they really have that?
Yes.
Jeez. Time flies when you're having fun, I tell you what.
See, I remember some things. A couple weeks ago, we talked about...
A couple weeks ago, we talked about...
Okay. I'm reading what you typed, so not my fault. We talked about a lot of questions from Live Letter 53. I was honestly, Pete, just now, I was like, just keep reading it. It'll make sense when you keep going. I was like, it's still not. A lot of questions from the Live Letter 53 from a translation from Gamer Escape. Square Enix has now released the Live Letter digest for those questions. So that is their official translation of the Live Letter. We checked a lot of them, and they pretty much line up with the translation that we were going off of originally. There weren't really any big changes of note.
But we didn't go over all of the questions, so you can still head on over to that digest and get all of their official answers to the questions. Keeping on the live letter theme, we have a date for the next live letter. In just over 2 weeks, on September 14th, we will get live letter 54 from the floor of the Tokyo Game Show. You'll be able to watch live on the FFXIV Twitch channel at 9 p.m. Pacific time. The theme of it will be a preview for patch 5.1. It will also include special guest Yosuke Saito, member of the board and executive producer Square Enix, and Yoko Taro, president and game director Bukoro. You may know him better from the Nier Automata series, and because Yoko Taro is going to be there, I would imagine this is going to be the live letter that will focus heavily on the new 24-man raid series, Yorha Dark Apocalypse. Based off the previous 24-man raids, I'm predicting that this first tier will have an eye level requirement of 435 and will drop eye level 460 gear. And for my wild speculation, I think the first crossover character we get confirmation from Nier Automata will be 9S. What do you think about that, Avi?
I think you sound very correct, sir.
What is your wild speculation?
I actually agree with you.
What is the first character we're going to get from Nier Automata?
9S.
Just say a number and a letter. Maybe you'll get it right.
I did not play. Pete did. So now
That's exciting, though. I'm really excited for this new 24-man raid series. And I've actually seen some people in our Discord that are new to Final Fantasy XIV and the patch cycle that are complaining that there isn't a lot to do if you're not doing Savage.
I agree with that, actually.
So this can't come
I haven't
soon
been
enough.
logging in. I don't have a lot of time to play anyways, and with little time I have, I've been actually doing other things and playing because I don't have time for Savage, so why am I gearing up my character? You know, the only thing I've really been doing is leveling my tank every once in a while.
And because it's really easy once the next patch comes out to start getting those new tomes and getting the second to best gear all over again.
It's real easy to catch up, so I've just been kind of like, it's okay. So now, what everyone is really excited for from the past live letter, the new items have been added to the Mog Station, and some of the older items have gone on sale. So you can start funding the next expansion. The new items include the very much requested Kryle's attire for $12 and is for single characters. Unfortunately, it is not dyeable, except that it has custom hairstyle underneath the hood. which is Kryle's hairstyle, like a little curly bangs, you can dye the hair color. But I did not see that the yellow coat was dyeable. And so honestly, for me playing Viera, I thought I was really going to want this attire, but the only element that's dyeable is the hair, which I can't use on a Viera.
I was going to say, I wonder if that even works for the Viera.
And so because I couldn't dye the coat, I'm not going to buy it. If they'd have made it so I could dye it, which I know they don't with any of their attire, but that one for some reason just felt like I should have been able to change the colors of it.
You don't like the yellow raincoat?
No, I'm not a big yellow fan, so it's all right. I got some other items.
Well, you saved $12. Maybe you can buy some other stuff.
I may have already done that. There are, however, for new to some people who maybe weren't playing a couple years ago, we've got the wind-up Lulu, Yuna, and Riku from Final Fantasy X for $6.99 each, and they are account wind. And I
think those are the ones that you got for going to
FanFest.
FanFest or buying the stream.
Buying the stream, yeah. You got each one for a different stream or attending. A wind-up Serena for $5, which is single character only. A couple of earring glamours were added, which are the replica White Raven and the replica Mandeville earrings. I do like that they've added replica to them. If I remember correctly, those two were from 1.0 and introduced something a while back that made them achievable again. But again, like we talked about, the whole replica name. So now you can differentiate between the people who earn them and the people who purchase them. Those are $3 each and are for a single character. And finally, the last new item is the Revolutions Orchestrion roll for $3. So on top of all that super awesome new stuff, we've got a sale going on. I love me a good sale. This sale is 30% off. And the only items not on sale are the optional items released April 2019 or later, certain emotes, single pots of dye for all colors, and the Tales of Adventure tomes or jump potions. But everything else is on sale, 30% off. If there's something you've been eyeing for a while, now is the time to get it.
Yeah, now would pretty much be I haven't bought anything, but now would probably be the time if there was a certain emote that I really wanted, and it was cheap to begin with, and it's like 30% off now. I'm like, all right, I'll go. Thought about the Fenrir mount, because I gave it away after FanFest.
Yeah, that is.
But the only real benefit that I actually wanted it was during Shadowbringers, because it was faster on the ground than your typical mount. But I'm like, well, now I have flying, so I'm never going to use it anyways.
I actually kind of like using that mount in PvP. It's not. I don't like using the gigantic mounts.
Breaks my immersion.
It makes sense in PvP for some reason to me. I actually purchased something for our friend Chili at Comic-Con, and before he paid me back for it, I said, well, how about have you get me some things on the Mog Station, just take that out of the total, because in the EU, the items are, the conversion's better, so it's cheaper. So I actually waited for the sale, and then I said, hey, get me this, this, and this, and then let me know the total, and then that's how I splurged. Happy birthday to me!
But how are you going to get Chili his thing now? You said shipping was too expensive.
Oh, we're going to give it to him at FanFest.
You got to pay him back.
We're going to give it to him at FanFest, next FanFest.
EU FanFest?
If you want to go to that one.
I don't know if we can buy tickets. We don't play on the EU. All right, Avi, teach me some lore. Teach me lore, so know some
shit. So this week's question comes from Aja30. This question is a true or false question, Pete.
False. Did I get it?
I don't know. Knowing Eorzea would need the Warrior of Light in the future, Louisoix channeled the power of Althik the Keeper, god of space and time, and chose to send them...
I heard as Althik, like Allthicc, like she's all thick.
The Keeper, god of space and time, and chose to send them 5 years into the future to save them from the calamity. True or false?
I'm still thinking about thick. I need you to read it again.
I feel like I already asked this one before. They did already ask this one before. Damn it. Did I not mention that I got ready for this episode like 10 minutes beforehand? Well, balls. Pete doesn't remember it.
Yeah, you might have done it before, but all I remember is thick.
As soon as I read it, I was like, I did this one before. It's all right. I can obviously repeat them, and Pete doesn't know.
Well, do you have a fresh one?
I mean, you got to talk.
Do you got a freshie?
I can try to find one.
We can leave that for next week, Avi.
Okay.
I think we're good. You failed, though. We're counting this as a win for Pete. Pete has just won teaching Pete lore. Let's move on to some discussion, Avi.
Wait, I think I have one. Oh, but I don't have the answer. Oh, wait, yeah.
Why can't you think of any on your own?
Because I don't have time. Wait, did I do this one already? I don't think I did. Okay. This one comes from Damien on Discord, and I'm really hoping I didn't already ask this one too. Let me do a control F real quick. Damien. Did not. Okay. All right. Mistbeard is a legendary pirate king most known for plundering the seas during the 6th Astral Era. Who is the most recent person who took up the mantle of Mistbeard?
Oh, shit. I knew this one.
A. Merlweb Blofhiswine. I don't know how to say her last name. B. Rashat Riki. C. Ainzar Slafferson. Or D. Blofisson.
What? I thought I knew this one, but those don't sound familiar. I know it's not Merlweb. What are the 2, 3, 4 again?
I want to say them again. Rashat Riki, Ainzar Slaferson, Blofisson.
Let's go with Blofisson.
You are what wrong?
Nailed it.
The answer is actually C. Ainzar Slafferson.
I knew that last name. I couldn't remember that first name.
I said it horribly, but let me paste this in here and give Damien credit. Hey, you guys, I recovered relatively well.
Said no one.
So I might even just start going over ones that we've already done before that Pete got wrong.
No one wants that, Avi. Especially not me. All right. I mentioned at the top of the show that we had a discussion topic on our Discord that created some conversation. It also kind of inspired the Green Leaf a Minute as well. It was brought up by Aja30, who you tried to repeat a question from just now.
You know.
That they've been getting a lot of people in leveling roulette dungeons that are way undergeared. And quite a few people supported him and complained about the same thing. So the question that was put forth was, should there be an eye level requirement for leveling dungeons? Pay attention to the show, Avi. I'm asking you a question here.
Oh, I didn't realize you were asking me the question.
All right. Here it is again.
I heard it.
And when we're talking about leveling dungeons, we're talking about the dungeons up to level 49, and then 51 to 59, 61 to 69, 71 to 90. None of those dungeons have an eye level requirement.
71 to 90?
71 to 79.
I actually agree. I think there should be an eye level requirement for the dungeons.
Now, does that not like put a little bit of a damper on it? Like if you just hit level 50, you're in your eye level, whatever, 90 gear. You can't go on to the next dungeon. You're gonna.
I don't think it needs to be like a strict, like hard or high eye level. I just think it needs to be something that prevents people from wearing gear that's 10 levels or below too low.
I think it can create problems because you're leveling up so fast now, and you're hitting level 53 maybe before you even start unlocking some of these dungeons. You could be level 3 before you even get through the MSQ.
Someone in chat just said that there are eye levels for the level 50 dungeons. No, there are not.
No, this is what I'm saying.
Like
up
are.
to level 49. Once you hit 50 and then 50 through the next expansion have eye level requirements.
Yeah,
those are the ones.
The newer dungeons don't.
Once expert starts, that's when the eye level requirement starts.
Yep. If you're in game and you open the duty finder, you can tell which ones actually have the level sync because there's a level sync item icon next to the level of that dungeon. So you'll see how many don't have that.
So they're saying that there's an eye level requirement for those. Why isn't there an eye level requirement for the leveling dungeons that come before them?
I agree.
I agree to a certain extent, but it can be easily faked. I mean, at that point, there's so many rings that are for any job. Any job can wear them. Like, if you replace that, you could be a tank and you put on a healing ring, and you're in worse condition than you were with the appropriate tank ring, like at a lower eye level.
Well, once you get into the dungeon, can't you just change back to the other ring?
I suppose you could. It just seems like an obnoxious thing to do for something that I don't know is going to have that much effect.
I mean, having an undergeared tank is hard on the healer.
And
Having an undergeared healer is hard on the tank. Which in turn hurts the party. Imagine if you got both an undergeared healer and an undergeared tank, how slow the entire group would have to take that run. I think, and even DPS, if they're not, doing enough damage.
I will say, like, if you have an undergeared tank and an undergeared healer, if you still take it one pack at a time and you're not trying to pull the whole damn dungeon, it's fine. Like, it takes, 3 minutes longer, maybe, since you have to do one pack at a time.
And what if your whole group's under gear? That would take a lot longer than 3 minutes.
Yeah, but how often does this happen?
I don't know. I don't play that often.
And if you're doing a leveling dungeon, that's one person that isn't under gear.
If it's the healer and they're already not strong at playing the class because they're learning how to play the class, or a tank, and they're under geared, yes, that can cause multiple wipes, especially on the boss fights.
Okay. Well, I don't know if they need to do this, but I think something does need to be done. And I think the problem for all this is that we level so fast now.
Yes.
But what would you think about this to help alleviate the problem? Since they're already talking about shortening the MSQ and whatnot, so you're going to get even less XP, presumably, unless they just increase the XP per quest, if they're going to get rid of some of the filler quests. What if the first time you get your AF gear for your job, they make that like the earring we got for pre-ordering Shadowbringers, and it increases, like it syncs up to your level as you level up, and you just like get that AF gear to wear until the new expansion when you get your next set of AF gear.
That's not a bad idea.
I think that would be kind of cool, and you form some attachment with that, and then you just need to get any gear that you want for glamour.
Well, and that AF gear would only just get you to meet the minimum eye level of all the dungeons. It wouldn't get you past that.
Yeah, and like
that way you're still having to pay to work for the tomes to get the better gear past that. Or the job gear. Yeah, that's AF gear, right? Is it job gear?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
And I was just saying they already said they don't want to do that because the earring is already too good. But I mean, just lower the requirement or the stats on it.
Yeah, the stats don't have to be that good.
And that way you don't have to do eye level requirements. They're just going to be wearing stuff that's appropriate for the dungeon.
WoW actually did that with gear. So they'd be implementing something that World of Warcraft had already done.
And I think another thing they could do if they don't want to do that is increase dungeon drop, so it's easier to get gear
as you level.
Since you're leveling so fast now, you might only run a dungeon one time.
Right.
So let's increase the drop rate in there. Implement the coffer style of gear that was added to Shadowbringers, MSQ, and Savage Raid, and apparently you said in Stormblood, but I don't know if that was just the last boss or throughout the dungeon. I think it should be throughout the dungeon.
No, it's at the end of the game. At the end of the dungeon, you got a piece of gear.
Okay. I would do this for every coffer in there, so let you roll on
That's
basically
a lot of gear.
Everything, and then you can pop it for whatever job you want.
Oh, I see. That actually wouldn't be a bad idea.
Like I said, I think the cause of this problem is we're leveling so fast, the early dungeons are too easy, and we don't feel the need to replace gear. I think that is a problem too.
Well, you can actually just not notice. I've done that where I was like, oh crap, I didn't notice that my gear was 5 levels lower than it should be. So having an eye level requirement would just make me go, oh crap, I need to replace those pants. Like, it's not a stop you thing. It's a, hey, pay attention to your gear. You've leveled.
And especially when you're leveling an alternate job that you don't play that often, because you might just do a leveling roulette a couple times a week, and until about level 60, you're gaining a level every time you do that.
Right.
So you're gaining 2 levels a week if you just run it twice a week, and before you know it, you've already out leveled your gear. Mm-hmm. And you just haven't even noticed it.
I've done that so many times. And sometimes I'm even like, well, you know what? I'm so close to the next level anyways. Screw it. I'll just continue wearing what I got on. I've been fine so far.
Yeah.
Because the dungeons don't hinder me.
And I also think it'd be nice if there were more ways to get gear other than just homes or dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
I would like...
But you can craft it.
And crafting, I guess. But I would like it... And I probably dwell on this too much.
Yep.
I wish there was more open world content in Final Fantasy XIV.
I don't know that you've actually complained about this in a week or two.
I wish you could go out to the open world, kill some mobs, and they're not going to drop the best gear by any means, but, let them drop some shitty leather gear.
But don't they drop the materials needed to make the shitty leather gear?
Some of them do, but the drop rates on open world mobs are so bad. Like, no one really farms them. You level up a retainer that's a Battle of War class.
And send them out to do it for you.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's not worth farming them on your own.
Makes sense.
Okay, so that was the big discussion we had in Discord this week. I thought it was kind of fun. So I realized that we've gone through about half of the MSQ with our last recap and discussion that ended with the very powerful scene of the Sin Eater attack in Lakeland. And I thought, instead of just continuing the recap and discussion, we could take a look back at this first half of Shadowbringers, talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, discuss some of the new characters along with some old friends, pick a most valuable player, least valuable player, and whatnot. And everyone feel free to call in to us during this. I know most of us by now are done with Shadowbringers, but we're trying to think of these characters just from what we've gotten by this halfway point. So just cut it off right when we get to that Lakeland scene. That's what we're going off for this mid MSQ award show ranking thing. I think it'll be interesting to see how we think of the character at the halfway point, and then again when we do it at the end of the story and see if anything has changed. And Avi, just for fun, when I get to these characters that we're about to talk about, when I say their name, I want you to do a little word association. I want the first word you think of when I say their name.
Okay.
Okay? You got that?
I guess.
This is what you get for not helping on the outline.
All right.
Do weird shit. So let's talk about villains first, Avi. And we have the obvious villain of Vothri.
Rolls.
Rolls is your word association for Vothri. Is that because he has rolls? Is that because they eat bread rolls?
Yeah. Kind of it fits for all the things.
And feel free in chat to do your first word you think of as well. And then we have another villain, Emmett Selk.
Crazy eyes?
Crazy eyes.
Well, it's not they're like good crazy eyes.
So we have the obvious one, Vothri, and Emmett Selk I consider a villain because he's our foe, because he's an Ascian, but so far he hasn't really done anything too villainous to us. He's kind of just been... We think he's shepherding us in a certain way, but we don't really know his reasoning yet.
Okay.
We just know... at this point, we're actually feeling a little bit of sympathy for him after we got that cave scene from the Katana Ravel.
I'm realizing, by the way, Pete, in order for your game to work, I can't read ahead, so I can't keep up with you. Otherwise, I'll see the name of the next person you're going to talk about because you put it in bold, and then it won't be an automatic reply. So, I already know who's next. So then after that, it'll actually be, genuine. But you're just going to have to read it all for me to do this.
And Ian Show wants to know, casting of Norvarant when?
Some people really hated the casting of Eorzea.
That was a very 50-50 segment.
Yeah, it was a very polarizing.
The podcast listeners didn't like it. The Twitch viewers did.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
That might be a stream thing instead of a podcast thing.
So at this halfway point, I think Vothri is pretty transparent. Even though we don't know just how connected he is with the Sin Eaters, we know at the very least they are working with each other. He has a god complex. He throws temper tantrums. It's his way or the highway. He sells a dream of paradise to the poor masses. As of now, there hasn't been much nuance to him. Will you agree with that?
Yeah.
For the most part?
Yeah.
And I don't know if we should consider him a villain or just a henchman, but we also have Ranjit.
Batman.
Batman? You're dropping a Batman for Ranjit?
Yeah, because he does the slow walk pursuit thing, which I always associate with Batman. He considers himself so badass that he doesn't have to run after you. He just walks after you and you're running away. He tends to do that a lot.
I think I would go with overpowered with him.
Batman. Batman is overpowered. Duh. Psh, bitch, I win.
Because every time we see him, he's just impossible.
Yeah, he's just I know I'm badass.
We need to bring a whole crew to be able to make him retreat.
Batman. My Batman. He's Batman of Eorzea.
Which Batman is he? Now think of all the actors that have played Batman. Which actor is Ranjit?
The original from the movie. Forgetting his name. The one with... What's his name?
I don't know which one is the original one. Is the guy who played Mr. Mom?
He was Beetlejuice, wasn't he? Not Batfleck. KK.
All right, well, you
Keaton.
Yeah, that's what I said. Guy who played...
I don't remember Mr. Mom.
Okay, Michael Keaton is your Ranjit.
Yeah, he's Michael Keaton Batman.
Makes no sense at all, but okay.
I guess he could be Christian Bale, too.
So those are the three that I would consider the villains that we've had so far. We had Titania, but that's a primal. It was not really. It was part of the MSQ, but it wasn't like an overarching story for the MSQ. Unless you want to consider her a villain for this first half.
Who?
Titania.
No, I don't consider her a villain.
Okay.
Because she was a hero who became a villain, essentially. It wasn't like she was a savior at the same time.
She became a Sin Eater.
Yeah.
All right, so those are the villains. Let's talk about some new friends that we made, Avi. First up, we have the Crystal Exarch.
Blue. Da-ba-dee-da-ba-da.
Just because of the crystal, she went with blue.
Well, his skin is blue. And people always are like, man, anybody else wondering what it's like downstairs?
That crystal dick? I guess the Crystal Exarch is a friend. I think we trust him a bit much too early. He's the architect of this whole thing we're going through.
We're like, he's a hottie. I trust him.
He kind of makes it seem like it's our idea, but it's definitely him that wants us to get rid of the Light Wardens.
By the way, did anyone else find him less hot when you saw his face?
Because he's Catboy.
You spoiled ahead of what we've talked about, Pete.
We already knew. We were talking about who this guy was before this expansion was even released.
I know, but it's just kind of funny that it was more so just the comment of he was just less hot. It wasn't because he's a Catboy. I don't find the Catboys unattractive. It was just he was like mysterious before, and then some people thought he was hotter. I guess that's people saying he was less hot for me. I was like, and we're done.
Okay, so yeah, he's definitely our new friend. How did you like him so far?
What do you mean by so far? Like, where are we leaving off on the story with him?
Yeah, like at our scene in Lakeland.
I liked him at this point. I mean, I also thought we trusted him too much, but I thought he was an interesting character to pay attention to, and I was really curious why Y'shtola hates him so much.
Did you trust him at this point?
I trusted him less because Y'shtola didn't.
Did you feel like he had our best intentions in mind, or it was all about him? Or maybe he wants to save the world at whatever cost it is to us.
I felt like it was a greater good kind of situation.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it was about him or us. It was about saving.
I think even if he knew that this would kill us, he'd still try to get it done.
As you should. Because he's trying to save more people. Trying to save the universe, essentially, is what we're going to say. And
well, without us, how is he going to save the next ones?
With the next Warrior of Light. That's going to happen.
Moving on to our next new friend, a new Minfilia is now in our crew. What's your word association for young new Minfilia? That sounded like many words to me.
Sound effects. I can't just do one word.
But new Minfilia is very young. I would guess between 14 and 16. Do you think that's a fair?
I thought people had said she was like 12.
Oh, that's a really young. I don't think a 12-year-old could kill a Sin Eater, personally.
I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm sure chat remembers, but I remember she was actually supposed to be younger than she kind of appeared.
I don't know if we ever get her age in-game. I think she acts around the age of 14 to 16, maybe a bit more mature with the life that she's led so far. Trying to find her own way, whether it's Ranjit or Thancred, it always seems like someone's trying to force her a certain way. So she is trying to find her own voice and her own way of doing things. Proving herself to be more than a capable fighter.
Chili responded that Google says 12 to 13.
Well, if Google says it, then it must be right.
More right than if Pete says it.
I'm going 14 to 16. I don't think some preteen girl's going to be able to take down a Sin Eater.
I do.
I don't.
You don't read enough fantasy. 13-year-old girls be crazy.
What's your opinion on Minfilia so far? So what we've seen her do is she killed a Sin Eater with us.
Right.
But then, for some reason, the writers thought she couldn't kill that same Sin Eater on her own in the Lakeland cutscene.
Her character arc was diminished quite often by trying to increase Thancred's. And I found that annoying. I felt like she could have been a stronger, much more interesting character, which is kind of the whole story of Minfilia as a whole. She could have been a stronger, more interesting character, but they used her to kind of develop other characters. She was just a plot device.
I like her so far.
I don't dislike her. I don't like the way they treated her. Like, I didn't like that she always needed Thancred to come and save her, and that like she was always turning to him for what she should do.
I think they were trying to get away from that because they do show her sometimes being able to kill stuff without him. Like in the Ratika Greatwood, she did it on her own.
Yeah, but then they were wishy-washy with it, and then she'd go back and need to be saved
again. It's because
again.
she's so young, I think. Like,
but then why did it always have to be Thancred?
Because Thancred's her papa.
It was weird. It was creepy. The whole like how he's in love with Minfilia and then it's not her, and then they kept like touching her head, and I don't know. They did on chat. Chili commented that or on her bigger boobs. A 12-year-old girl. I know Minfilia is known for her titties, but she shouldn't have had them that big at that age. Like, why do you think Twitter over-sexualized her? Because Square Enix over-sexualized a 12-year-old girl in the way they designed her character.
She's drinking that milk.
Yeah, no.
Our next new friend, the sapling to our branch, Feo-ul.
Oh, I was just gonna respond. Fiery
Feo-ul is one of the first friends we make at the Crystarium, fiercely loyal and always willing to help us, even when we forget about her. Protects us against her own pixie kind and takes the place of Titania when we kill the king of the pixies. What'd you think of Feo-ul?
At first, I hated her voice. I did not feel like her voice.
Didn't like the Scottish?
I didn't. And I love a good Scottish accent. I didn't like it.
You prefer like the Shrek Scottish?
No, it wasn't about the Scottish accent. It was about the accent for that character. I felt like she sounded like an old Scottish woman, and it's this little tiny pixie. And the only time I really enjoyed her voice was when she got like really angry.
Angry Feo-ul is best.
Yeah, that's the only time I liked her. But other than that, she looked like a child, but sounded like an old woman. And I just, it was weird to me. Like, I liked having the ability for her to get, like, super bassy and, like, pissed off. But I felt like she needed more of an innocent sound outside of that instead of a matronly sound.
I understand that. So you didn't like her voice, but she's been a pretty awesome character.
Oh, she's a very fun character. I do know that. So when she first offered to take the role of King, I thought she had been trying to swindle us the entire time.
You thought it was like a power grab?
Yeah. I actually first thought it. I did. I thought it was a power. I was like, "Oh, fuck you!" But she's like, "Oh, I'm just helping you out. I'll be king. It's okay. We're totally cool. I'm here for you." Yep. Right. But then later, I
didn't think that. Like, I was all in on her from the very beginning.
I don't know. It's just she's a pixie, and pixies trick, and they, and I kind of.
But she was kind of always like an outside pixie.
Like, I know, but I wish she'd have done a little bit more trickery because she's a pixie. It's like their nature.
She was an explorer. Like, she was all about different.
That doesn't mean she can't also play tricks. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think even if she was just playing tricks on the Crystal Exarch or somebody else randomly, like you'd catch her and she'd be like giggling about something she'd done. I would have liked to see more of the pixie-ness to her.
It would be nice if, like, expanding on that, if, like, people in a group, there were a couple that, like, just didn't like each other and they just fucked with each other the whole time.
Yeah. Like
there was a little bit of that with Y'shtola and the Crystal Exarch, but it was more just like, I don't like that guy. I don't really want to be around him. There was no fuckery going on.
Right. I'll let him. He can tank that by himself. I don't know. It just would have been funny.
Next up, I wasn't sure if I should add this one or not, but our old enemy, Ardbert.
Ardbert. It was Hottie. Was the first thing
Hottie?
I thought. Yeah.
Are you sure it wasn't just because you alt-tabbed and saw KK McLeod's character without his shirt on?
Oh my god, I didn't actually. That's hilarious. No, and that's because I thought of Gentry from Game of Thrones. Gendry. Whatever. The whole time.
So yeah, Ardbert is...
It was his voice. It wasn't the actual character design. It was who's behind the character that I was like, okay.
He is now a non-corporeal friend to us, and we're his only friend now that he is invisible to the world. He's always watching, and whenever we're alone, he usually makes an appearance for a chat, dropping some words of wisdom or knowledge on us. And you like the voice, unlike Feo-ul, so you were all in on this character. What do you think about any other substance other than the voice? How have you enjoyed the character so far?
I really enjoyed the character. I got a little old. Why don't you go take a rest? And then, we're gonna have an Ardbert cutscene. Like, cool. That's what I wish they'd have had a little more free flow kind of feeling to it. I know that was a way to get you into an instant space to do the cutscene, but it just never felt organic. And so I would have much...
Because you always knew it was coming.
Yeah. Like, so in Lakeland, the scene we ended with last week's episode, I actually really enjoyed that because it felt organic. It felt natural that he's just there and then he sees these people and he's trying to save them. And it like, I would have loved our interactions with him when we had those sort of interactions with him, where he's just like talking to us in the world and then everybody else walks up and we just kind of have to pretend like we haven't been talking to someone who's not there. I loved that. I wanted that to be the interaction with him more often. But I loved it because it was very much a mirror. It was nice having that mirror for your character. I think he brought a lot to the story.
I totally agree.
Brought heart. He's the heart.
And thank you so much for that Twitch Prime sub, Nosian. Thank you so much. All right, we got 2 more left of new friends, Avi. Next up, we have Alina, leader of the first.
Fabulous hair.
Fabulous hair.
Which I know I actually have the same hairstyle on my character, but like without the bangs. But like that's what I think. She's got like this fabulous gray hair, and she's just like this big fierce bunny chick. Like I like her.
So she is the commanding officer, I guess. Commands the Crystarium's army. She's pretty confident. In my opinion, she's been a little bit underutilized so far.
Mm-hmm.
We know, or we're told she's pretty badass. But the first time I think we see her in battle, her soldiers turn on her. Not like in a rebellious way.
They turn into
Sin Eaters on her.
Actually, though, I realized that first scene, the first time I watched through that scene, the way she just said they turned on me, I didn't quite get actually that they turned into Sin Eaters and they turned on her. And so when I was rewatching it for writing this up, and I'm actually writing it up, I was like, oh, she meant Sin Eaters, which makes way more sense. But when I was watching that scene, I was super confused and I thought, did they mean Sin Eaters or did they like turn on her? Were they working for the, like, I don't know. it wasn't fully clear. And I thought that was.
Yeah. I liked her introduction. I liked everything about her. I have a feeling that since I like her so much, she's going to get the Fordola treatment. There might be a little bit about her in 5.1 and then we might not get anything.
I even liked, which I actually don't always, I liked the way they dressed her character. Because they made her look like a general, and she wasn't scantily clad. I mean, if you look, like she actually has the thigh-high boots on and like a shorter skirt on, but it's not like, hey, like she's dressed like a warrior, and her gear and her demeanor and everything like made a lot of sense for the character, and I really liked that.
And I was kind of excited to talk about the cutscene we get after that Lakeland battle, but that will have to wait until next week because we get a little bit more with her. Up until this point, she's been
on the sidelines.
Like I said before, underutilized.
Yeah.
Last one to make my cut for our new friends is Runar. Runar is Y'shtola's BFF.
Oh, the big fluffy kitty boy. Yeah. He'd be banging Y'shtola. I'm totally shipping that. I just think she's super private, and so we don't know that. Like, but it's happening.
Definitely, at least.
That is not. I wouldn't actually have put him at the same level as all these other characters, which is why I didn't think of him.
I think it was because I had saw Yoshida interview, and he was talking about how he really liked Runar, and I was like, all right, I'll add him.
I did too.
Definitely the BFF of Y'shtola. So we can't leave him out.
KK calls him one word is competition.
He might be a little bit more than a BFF, like is in our headcanon. We don't know for sure. But from the bit of time we get with him, he seems to be very loyal to his people as well as Y'shtola. I think he's smart too. He's not too full of himself. He was the leader of the Knights Blessed, but when Y'shtola comes along, he lets her take up a leadership role. I assume they were kind of equals.
Yeah.
But he didn't have so much bravado that he was going to just overrule her or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I liked his character. He wasn't going to pull rank on her.
No, he definitely respected her knowledge and her inference, and I'm sure he was hitting that. And she was hitting it right back. Because it's Y'shtola, and she's like badass.
All right, let's move on. Let's catch up with some of our old friends. First up, our old buddy Thancred.
Whiny baby bitch boy.
Whiny baby bitch boy is the one word you go with.
Give me phrases. Like, one word is boring. I gotta do, like, a little bit more.
He's gained an eye back in the first, but I wish he'd stare less creepily at Minfilia with it.
Yes.
While they were back on the source with original Minfilia, he seemed to have kind of, like, a big stepbrother feel with Minfilia, but also had a crush on her.
It honestly, in a weird way, felt less sexual when she was older than it did when she was younger. Like,
because it was like she's too hot for him.
No, it's because he never like was willing to admit it before, I guess. And in this one, it's like he admitted it and he was spiteful because she wasn't really her, but he wanted her to be her. But, it was all twisted.
Yeah, and now it seems he still has a crush on a much too young now Minfilia.
Yeah,
and I don't think the camera angles and animation of some shots did him any favors either.
Right, and KK's commenting that he was there when Minfilia grew up as a child as well, which how old is he? Because he doesn't look that old.
And there's actually a new Tales of the Storm with a lot of backstory for Thancred, which we'll get to next week. We just had too much.
It's like they keep him young and hot looking, but they're like, oh, but his hair's gray. No, bitch. No.
It's not gray, it's white. Just like shit Sid. Shit. It's like that shit Sid. Sid's my favorite character.
Miro and Sid.
Yeah, I don't think the director did him any favors on this one.
No.
Because I don't think he's creepy. Like I really don't think he loves her in that sort of way. But some of the choices they went with this.
Yeah, well, it's not that he loves her in that way. It's that he loves Minfilia, which she is not, and he views her as the reason Minfilia is not there. But she's also part of Minfilia, so he's torn and conflicted. And that's crazy things that happen when people are conflicted.
Yeah, and he also serves as a father figure to Minfilia as well.
If they'd have just actually lowered the father figure element of it, it would have been less creepy.
Even that father figure though was a little bit annoying because at times he was way over controlling.
Yeah.
And at times they're like, well, what's the fucking difference between you and Ranjit? You're both controlling her.
Yeah.
So I was less than thrilled with Thancred so far up until this point. We did get the previous Lakeland scene where he basically helped us save Minfilia.
Mm-hmm.
But, he was also traveling with her and wasn't paying attention when she got kidnapped too. So that's kind of his fault. Next up, we have the best twin, Alisaie.
Badass
Alisaie has really come into her own here on the first. She's chasing down.
Ooh,
and
Chili said sexy.
Slaying Sin Eaters.
Alpha knows her identical twin, Chili. How would you know which one was talking to you if they changed the color of their ribbon?
Grab them by the genitals. That's how you find out.
She's a turd.
Yeah, she's slaying Sin Eater. She's jumping off buildings.
She's badass.
She's a leader now. She's no longer being a bitch to Alphino. She's making her own decisions, going off on her own to track down Light Wardens. She's really her own person now.
She's more interesting even.
Yeah. And so are you in on Alisaie so far?
I've always loved Alisaie. Alisaie and Stormblood was fantastic as well.
Now we have the bad twin. Wah, wah. Alphino.
You actually said his name.
I wrote Alisaie's brother. But it gets a little annoying saying Alisaie's brother.
Okay. Pete's actual favorite.
That's a goddamn lie. That was not the first thing you thought of.
Actually, it is. Other than blue, but I mean, that's just boring.
Alphino is doing Alphino things in Shadowbringers, falling in love with Catboys, telling them our plans to infiltrate Yulmore, and then letting said Catboy have our plan to get inside and letting him use it instead of us. Then we have to come up with a new plan, and shocker, we have to be his assistant to do it.
Yeah, that was weird.
So, I'm about where I always am on Alphino. What about you? You give Alphino a little more slack than I do?
Alphino is just like the butt of all the jokes now. Like even in Final Fantasy XIV, like he's getting picked on by Alisaie. I think they realize how kind of exhausted everyone is with his character and like the choices he makes. But I think the story needs someone that makes those kind of choices.
I will say I like to shit on Alphino, but he was slightly better than I've liked him in the past.
Well,
liked him in the past.
Stormblood, he was less bad because Alisaie picked on him a little bit, and they realized that people enjoyed that. And I definitely feel like they amped
Gave
that
the
up.
people what they want.
Yeah, they amped that up. And to the point, though, that he actually kind of sparred back at her a couple of times.
I thought they had good interactions. It was a very brother and sister
Yeah,
interaction.
which they needed. Before, they weren't very brother and sisterly. It was just, yeah. So,
brother in the foreground, sister in the background, and how it was before.
yeah, and I didn't appreciate that at all. She was almost non-existent.
Yeah, usually Alphino has no rival when it comes to being the worst, but now we have a new contender. Urianger has entered the match.
Dost thou? Must needs.
Must needs.
Must needs. That's it. Yeah.
Pray thee.
Pray thee.
He's probably in love with the Exarch. He's on that crystal dick, lying to us to do the Exarch's bidding.
He's also just a liar.
Talks like an asshole, trying to sound smarter than he is.
Well, he's like the mansplainer of Eorzea because he feels like he lies to us because he feels like we need protection all the time.
I don't even think it was because we need protection. I think it was because he didn't think we'd follow along with the plan if he told us that we might become a Light Warden.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I feel like he thinks he's protecting us or other people. I feel like he thinks he's doing it for the right reasons, but they're never the right reasons.
I think he thought he had to lie to us to get us to follow his plan, or his and the Exarch's plan.
Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is, he thinks he's doing it for the right reasons. He's doing it to help us. He's doing it to help the world. He always thinks it's the best thing to do.
Yeah, and he thinks he's so smart, but then he goes and throws an Astro card at a Viera.
That was funny.
The fucking idiot.
It was funny.
Fuck is that gonna do, you moron?
Ow, my eye!
Which brings us, we saved the best for last, Y'shtola.
I don't know what to say about her. She's just Y'shtola. She's like Madonna.
The first word you think of is just Y'shtola.
Yeah, she's Y'shtola. Yeah.
The one that cares
She
about
is.
us. The one who will tell us the truth.
The alpha dog.
The smart one that sees through the bullshit of Urianger and the Exarch. The only fault she has is caring too much.
Right.
Willing to risk her life falling down a sinkhole for an antidote to save a bunch of red shirts.
Square Enix will never kill her. She knew she wasn't risking her life. I think she is the right kind of cocky.
She jumped down saying, "I'll be back, bitches."
Pretty much. She's like, I know you got me. I trust you. If you don't got me, I got me.
All right. So I think we're both in on Y'shtola. We don't have to spend too much time on her.
No, she's amazing.
We love Y'shtola. That's been a theme of the whole podcast. Like from episode 1, I'm sure we've always had nothing but good to say about Y'shtola.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever met anybody who doesn't like Y'shtola.
All right, Avi. New friends, old friends, and villains. Out of everyone that we talked about so far, who would be your most valuable player? Which one?
I mean, to this point?
To this point, at this halfway mark. Who's been your... I guess that should be who's your favorite. Most valuable could mean different things to different people, so let's just call it your favorite.
Oh, well, that is different then. So my favorite versus...
Okay, let's do... Like, what would you consider most valuable? Most valuable to the story?
I mean, if you're looking at, like, the mission, is what I was thinking. The most valuable person for the mission.
Okay, let's do that first.
I feel like Feo Ul is actually up there. Because she allows us to communicate with our retainers in the previous world and everything else like that, which we wouldn't really be able to do a lot with.
We didn't need our retainers.
And also, she does a lot more than just that. And the fact that she takes over is the king. And I feel like she does a lot. She's a very vital part to the mission.
I guess for my MVP, I'm going to go with a person that I didn't really enjoy that much. But he is kind of the catalyst for the story, and I'm going to go with the Crystal Exarch. He kind of puts everything in motion.
Yep.
He's the one that got us all there, even though he kind of got our friends there by mistake.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely one of those stories that can't happen without everybody's parts.
Yes, it was hard of thinking, like, because pretty much as we meet someone, they do something cool.
Yeah.
Like, we meet Thancred, he helps save Minfilia. Like, every time
You've had time to think about this, too. I literally am just like, right now, and go.
We meet Urianger, and he helps us find Titania. Like, someone always does something cool as soon as we meet them. But I'm going to go with the Crystal Exarch for my MVP, because he puts everything in motion, drives the story forward. He's a fucking salesman. He's able to sell us on this shit. The only one that can see through it is Y'shtola.
Yep.
And even eventually she kind of just acquiesces to him and tags along with everything going on.
Realize it. Well, for
Because
her,
she could have stayed in the Great Wood.
it's always about the greater good for her. Sweezy just asked, I wonder what would happen if Square Enix took the Game of Thrones approach to kill a bunch of people who would live. Honestly, Sweezy, if they took the Game of Thrones approach, Y'shtola would die first. She's our Ned Stark.
Yeah, she's our Ned Stark. She's not our Arya.
Because Arya is one who survived after a bunch of main characters already died. No, because Final Fantasy is season 1 of Game of Thrones before anybody dies, because nobody really dies. That's the main character.
They had a chance to do a Game of Thrones in Ulda in 2.0, but they did a fake poison assassination attempt bullshit thing.
Right.
Like, they had a chance to really kill off some people. They didn't.
Nope.
They won't. All right, so that was your MVP. Who was your favorite character then? There's no right or wrong answer, Avi. You don't have to think too hard.
Well,
go with your gut.
it's the shipping of Runar and Y'shtola.
Okay.
The idea that she
you'll
had
do a couple.
that relationship that I pretty much made up in my head that they like kind of alluded to. Like, I guess that.
I think I'm gonna go with Minfilia. Like, she seems like an underdog to me. I've been rooting for her this whole time.
Like baby Minfilia or
Yeah, like new Minfilia. I just want her to break away from Thancred and Ranjit and become her own person.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why I relate with that, but that's just what I have kind of globbed
you want to break away
onto.
from me and become your own person?
Exactly.
Aw.
All right, least valuable player. Who has had the least to do, or whatever that means to you? Least valuable player for you, Avi.
I'm going to go with probably the one you're going to pick, an Alphino.
Alphino. Any reason? Alphino over anyone else?
Don't know that he really did anything that we could have done without him.
Okay, well,
we couldn't have done.
I think Alphino has had some use. He's been useful in Eulmore. He's added some insight to...
I thought Thancred. KK said Thancred, but Thancred is the one who found baby Minfilia and saved her and brought her. Like, so I felt like Thancred
found her. I don't think so. Lost her.
Found her again. So I feel like that was his whole purpose, is bringing baby Minfilia in. Everything else he did after that, yeah, not so much.
Yeah, we got a couple Alfies. Ace Kaneki says Alfie.
Because Alphino just basically is one
Alfie.
who got us into Eulmore, which I feel like we could have done without him.
You guys are starting to bring me around, Alfie. My pick was Urianger J. I've hated him the most out of this fucking expansion.
It's not about who you hate.
Okay, what has he added? He showed us a chart of Astral and Umbral and how it's different here than it is on the source.
He actually, through subversion, through lying to us, got us to follow the course that the Crystal Exarch wanted us to follow.
But we already killed a Sin Eater in Amarang. Before we even met Urianger J, we were already going to find the Sin Eater in
But he was
Pixie
the one
Land.
who said, if you don't do this, everyone dies. He gave us our actual motivation behind doing it, which was all.
But the Exarch told us that, and they're like, "Oh, we believe you, but we better go find Urianger J to confirm." He's not that important. They could have just had us believe the Exarch.
Oh, he did have an in on the Pixies too. They wouldn't have talked to. We couldn't have found them without him.
The fuck are you talking about?
Because the Pixies use spells to hide that Urianger J was the one who knew the Pixies, because that's where he lived.
We didn't get that from Urianger J. Thancred did that. We had to uncover it so we could get the Thancred. And then Thancred...
You're mixing up names.
No, Thancred did his little circle wand spell to break the spell from us. And then we were able to find Urianger J. And I guess Urianger J might have had something to do with us finding about the 4 fucking things we need to collect from all the Fae tribes.
Yeah, he lived with the Pixies.
But yeah, he lived with the Pixies, but...
Yeah, and Thancred learned that from
shit.
Urianger J.
Urianger J's my pick.
Okay.
I've confirmed it. You guys have confirmed it. You're sticking up for Urianger J too much. Fuck that guy. He's an asshole. He lies to me too much. Fuck him.
I agree. He lies too much.
Okay, so that was our least valuable.
Hmm.
Who's your least favorite?
Urianger J. Well, Thancred. Well, God, I don't know. Yeah, Urianger J. I hate his cadence. I hate the way they have him talk. I mean, I like looking at him, but I also like looking at Thancred too. So that's fine. Both of them, that's pretty tied. I don't know if I could. They're both really annoying. But Thancred, I guess, what I have to give Thancred. Actually, both of them were less annoying in Shadowbringers than they have been in previous expansions.
I'd have to consider that a little bit more. My least favorite would be Thancred. I've been really annoyed with him up to this point. He lost Minfilia. He's kind of a dick most of the time when he's talking to her.
Mm-hmm.
Very controlling. Yeah, I just haven't liked him at all. As much as I find Urianger annoying, Thancred beats him out for my least favorite. But I won't say least valuable because I think Thancred does a little bit more than Urianger does.
That's fair.
Best villain. So let's narrow it down to the 3 villains we have so far.
Oh, Emmett Selk, hands down.
Even so far? He hasn't done that much.
But you don't know whether or not you can trust him.
So you think the little bit of nuance. We know we don't like him because he's an Ascian, but we don't really know what his game is yet.
I love it.
And Vothri is just, you know exactly what you're getting.
He's a big fat dum-dum.
Body shamer. I agree. Best villain is Emmett Selk. Ranjit is just kind of, we don't know enough backstory on him.
He's Batman. He's like, but he's boring.
And spoiler alert, what we know about Ranjit is pretty much what we know about Ranjit for the entire story. They never really get into his backstory. And he's an empty character. He's badass. He's a badass fighter, but we have no idea why. We don't know how old he is. We don't know.
I feel like he's more your Fordola.
Except I don't see
him going good or anything, but he's that character that should have so much more backstory than he gets.
But Y'shtola had partially a good backstory because she was...
Y'shtola or Fordola?
Fordola. Fordola was an Alamegan. She was conscripted.
You don't have to give me Fordola's backstory, Pete. I know you love it, but I'm just saying they're both strong characters that we would like more backstory
at least they gave me something for Fordola. They got me hooked. I'm not hooked on Ranjit.
No, there's not enough.
Other than he's a good fighter for some reason, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Best hero, either old or new.
Ardbert.
That's the one I was going to go to also. I just enjoyed him.
Well, I mean, he's sacrificed. Not only did he was willing to give his life to save the world.
Since you went with him, I'm going to go with Alice.
Okay. She's pretty good too.
I think she's been pretty badass.
But she's kind of selfish with the limit breaks.
I don't give a shit. I want people to use a limit break. As soon as there's a limit break up, use it. Because if you use it as a magic caster or a bard or whatever, and the monk gets mad at you, well, you tell that monk, you fucking hit that button before me, bitch. Then do it. You had a chance. You could have hit it, and you didn't hit it fast enough. So get good, motherfucker.
All
right. Character you most want to die.
Well, like at this point in the story?
Sure. You're like, ooh, it would have a good impact, or I really hate you. Whatever your reasoning is.
I wanted Vothri to die. I didn't like Vothri. I didn't really even enjoy Vothri.
I would like Thancred to die at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking that too, but at this point in the story, I would have picked Vothri.
I think it would have forced Minfilia to grow up a little bit, to walk on her own, because even though I do want her to break away, and in some ways she was breaking away from that, in other ways she was depending on Thancred at the same time. So it wasn't just always him babying her. She wanted it sometimes, I would say.
She wanted it?
I know that came out really wrong.
Wrong.
I guess, I don't know how the way to put it is, but she embraced it, I guess.
That's fair.
Embraced him as a father figure and depended on him, is what I would say. So Thancred could die.
Sweezy's asking whose was the most impactful death. Well, Sweezy, we haven't gone through the whole story on the podcast, so we're not talking about the entire storyline. It's just through Lakeland. So we actually haven't had a whole lot of deaths yet.
So yeah, we're at the halfway point.
I mean, but everyone, I think the most impactful was the first one.
So the one in Amarang with...
No, the girl who turned into the Sin Eater. I don't remember her name right now.
Amarang.
What's her name?
I don't know her name.
Why
but
don't you know her name?
She was the friend of Alice. Alice helped her out.
That's by far, even when the whole thing, that's the most impactful death, hands down. That's the most impactful scene, I think, in the entire MSQ. That had me shook.
It was pretty graphic, and it was
Tesleen,
unexpected.
thank you, KK.
Tesleen. It set the stage to make you think that people were at risk this expansion.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that really carried through the rest of the way. Honestly, what first set the scene that people could be at risk is they even killed the old guy at the beginning, the very beginning, the first person we meet in the first.
And then her.
Later on.
But they didn't show his. His was
we
just
just
like,
saw,
oh, damn.
Like a Sin Eater had a hand with a ring on it, and we flash back to see the ring.
Yeah.
But I guess we can consider that a death, right?
Oh, yeah.
Even though we didn't see the death.
No, she said he ate him, essentially.
Might have just lost a hand. Who knows?
No.
We'll see him later with a hook. All right, so I think that was a good recap of the people that have featured in the first half of Shadowbringers. And we've done 3 dungeons so far. There's 3 more to go from the MSQ. And then there's 2 more that weren't part of the MSQ. They're just kind of you unlock it after you finish the MSQ. So I consider this pretty much the halfway mark of the expansion.
Sounds good to me. It's actually, I really liked doing a non-recap episode.
Yeah,
we needed
something different.
Yeah.
All right, now it's time for the community roundup, partner.
Do you want me to talk about this one?
I
haven't done a lot of talking this episode.
Go ahead.
Even though you wrote it?
Just think of it as you're talking about me because it's all about Gunbreaker.
Oh, then go ahead and talk about it.
No, go ahead. Try it.
So you guys
Pretend Avi plays Gunbreaker.
Yeah. This week I want to tell you about a site called xivanalysis.com. The site's aiming to help you figure out how you can increase your DPS in Savage. What you do for this is copy the link of a parse of yours from the FF logs and you paste it into this site. Then you select yourself and it will give you some information. For example, Pete pasted his clear of E2S last night, which was his finally got his first clear.
Finally got it down.
Do you not have an applause emote? Woo! I knew you were going to do that. All right, so the information that it gave was always make sure to use your off-global cooldowns when they are up, but don't clip them. I did them 94.5% of the time, but I missed some of my bow shocks and blasting zones. Only did those 82 and 90% of the time respectively, while he got all of the other ones at 100%. So this lets him know that he needs to hit those more often and also figure out why perhaps he's missing those and maybe adjust where they are on the hotbar to try to make them easier to see or to press.
Yeah, I even looked at my hotbar a little bit. And I was like, I should probably switch these 2, and it will make them easy to hit because
it more efficient.
Those are going to be up at the same time, and it's just little things like that. Like if
it's actually really cool.
I probably wouldn't have thought about it if I didn't see that I was missing that one so often. I'm like, I'll just switch it with that.
So I have a question real quick. So FF logs, does that only work for people doing Savage content?
I think you can upload primals, extreme primals.
Okay.
But I believe it's only for extremes and savages.
Okay, I was just curious.
I'm not 100% on that, so that's the only thing I've used it for. If anyone in chat can let me know, you can do whatever you want. Maybe that's a thing.
It also let Pete know that he messed up some of his cartridge uses. He did it correct 88.5% of the time, but that's almost 12% of improvement that's available. He wasted cartridge generation, ending the fight with cartridges loading, or dying with cartridges loaded is a direct potency lost. And he wasted 5 out of 61.
Now I feel like you're critiquing me.
Then it gave him some suggestions. Try to land global cooldowns during every No Mercy window. A 20-second duration is sufficient to comfortably fit 9 global cooldowns with full uptime if you wait until the last 1/3 of your global cooldown timer to activate it. Then, below that, it actually shows the abilities that you did use during each No Mercy window, so he can see exactly which ones he used when he should have been using the others. It also says, watch your uses of certain abilities during No Mercy. Under ideal conditions, you should be using Sonic Break, a full Gnashing Fang combo, and all of your off-global cooldown skills, Blasting Zone, Bow Shock, and at least 1 charge of Rough Divide under the buff duration. And he missed quite a few of those in order to achieve optimal DPS.
That was bad, but I'm also the main tank, so I had to move the boss around, and then there's a lot of shit going down. I remember this specifically, I got a little button mashy. I was just like, do the combo.
Don't die, kill the thing. Avoid weaving more actions than you have time for in a single global cooldown window. Doing so will delay your next global cooldown, reducing possible uptime. I know that he said he had 2 instances where he tried to do that.
Yeah, and you definitely notice it. You're like, oh, God damn it. Please go off. Delaying it.
Avoid breaking combos, as failing to complete combos costs you a significant amount of DPS and important secondary effects. Using a combo global cooldown at the wrong combo step, using non-combo global cooldowns while inside a combo, missing or attacking a target that is invulnerable will also cause your combo to break. So
yeah, I fucked up a couple combos.
It's going to happen. So finally, at the bottom of the page, it gives you a complete timeline of that fight and what abilities you used and when. This could be very handy if you're trying to figure out if you have been using the correct rotation or not, because there's nothing stopping you from taking the link to one of the top parsers for your job, pasting it to the site, and then seeing what that person is doing for their rotation and comparing it to yours. It sounds like an incredibly useful fight, especially for people who are trying to reach that optimum DPS for the high-end content. It's definitely still a work in progress, so they are continuing to add more features for more jobs, and don't take the numbers too hard. Sometimes you might have had to miss a combo or miss out on a global cooldown like Pete did during No Mercy because he had flares and he had to run away. It's going to be really difficult to get that perfect case scenario where you get 100% on everything.
Yeah, and Chili mentioned it in chat. They are still working on getting all the jobs on there. I tried to look at Chili's parse, and it was not supported yet. They didn't have Monk supported yet.
Why are you trying to judge Chili?
Trying to judge everyone.
Oh, okay.
I want to know who's fucking
in your party. You tried to everybody.
And guess what I found out?
It was you?
It was me.
So our listener reaction, Twitter is actually relatively quiet this week.
Yeah, I was bad at tweeting, but we had lots of good discussion in Discord. And
I actually got a really cute message from Sakura, and she said that I could actually read it on the podcast, so it's a little long, but I'm going to read it to you guys. She says, I was going to post this in general chat, but decided I thought I'd send it straight to you. I had something super funny happen today, thanks to She Heals I Tank. My 7-year-old daughter is starting to become more interested in Final Fantasy XIV. However, I wouldn't let her have her own character right now. Instead, I let her mess around with mine sometimes, and she also enjoys watching YouTube videos that have to do with Final Fantasy XIV.
That's code for I make her do all my gathering.
So when I was doing the trivia on the show, I actually let her listen to that segment so she could laugh at her mom for being a dummy. She's a good girl, and she knows bad words and that they aren't to be repeated. But, she's 7, so sometimes things slip. Today, we listened to a few minutes of the most recent episode while I drove her and her sister to the park. She was really interested and talked with me about it. Then, all of a sudden, she was quiet and she was just listening. And she says, Mom, don't be a dick. Thanks, She Heals I Tank. Which is actually the name of last week's episode.
We're molding minds.
Don't be a dick. I mean, if that's going to be a curse that your kid's going to do, I think it's a pretty darn good one.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that,
yeah,
Sakura.
It was super great. I was like, I have to share this.
Oh, Avi, it looks like we got someone on deck. Don't know how long they've been there.
It's Chili. Hey, Chili.
Hello.
Hello, Chili. How are you doing today?
I'm not too bad, thank you. How about you?
Pretty good. What do you have to share with us today?
Well, I was going to jump back out because I've been in. I was going to talk about the analysis thing, but you covered it.
So. Oh, just about them not supporting Monk quite yet.
Yeah,
but
don't worry, you did an awesome job.
But it is a pretty handy site if they do cover your job at the moment.
Yeah, eventually they'll fix Monk.
That does sound like I wish actually FF Logs tracked more content. Because
I do need to do a little segment on FF Logs because there is very much more to FF Logs than just seeing your number.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would like to be able to use all of that for my dancer to find out exactly what I should be doing when, but because I don't do that content right now, I don't have a way to do it.
You don't have a reason either.
I know, but I'd like to know what my optimum rotation is so that I can use it in practice, and then if I do go to content like that, I've already got what I should be doing down.
Well, you've also got remember Sea Sky thingy to practice on as well.
It's called
show you how much deep damage you got to do.
I'd rather use Act than that thing.
Sure.
The new one is called the Lawns, by the way. They keep on getting worse names. Started out as Stone Sky Sea, and then it was the circles of answering or some shit like that, and they're like, I don't fucking know, the lawns.
It's like we're playing golf.
I still haven't unlocked it yet, so I don't know.
It's outside
I
of,
haven't either.
it's by the shanty town.
Yeah, Sweetie said, Chili's accent is great. I am jealous, sir.
Yeehaw!
That's Texas chili.
Texas chili. It's like Pizza Dick and Texas chili.
All right, Chili, thank you so much.
Do you have any shout-outs before you
Yeah.
go, Chili? We always got to ask for Chili shout-outs.
Okay, a shout out to Maelstrom Radio. Go check them out, twitch.tv Maelstrom. Also check out Phoenix Down Radio. They're reaching their, I think it's their 5th anniversary soon. Come check out Phoenix Down Radio, twitch.tv Phoenix Down Radio. Also go check out Moogle Go Around Radio. We're near 150 followers. Also go check out Musecast, Gather Together, all the good stuff, words.
Yay, you finally plugged your own podcast. I'm so proud of you.
I did, because I'm getting really close to 150.
That's awesome.
What happens when you get to 150, Chili? Let the people know what you got going on.
If we get to 150 followers, I'm giving away an Amazon plushie.
Followers on Twitch.
Yeah, on Twitch.
Ooh.
So go check out
It's the Susan
Moogle
Sprinkles.
Go Round Radio and follow them. You'll get a chance at a Namazu plushie. And is that for US only?
Yes, US only.
Super sweet.
So any Americans, go give Moogle Go Round Radio a follow on Twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit that heart, baby.
All right, thank you,
Thank
Chili.
you.
Have a great night, sweetheart.
Have a great morning.
Look at
He's a UK person.
that. All right, Pete, anything else you want to add?
That's all I got.
All right.
I'm sorry I was so bad about Twitter this week, but thank you for all the good discussion and Discord.
I've been bad about all the things. School. All right. So on that note, that's going to be it for this episode. As always, we've enjoyed hanging out with all of you live here on Twitch. Thank you all for spending your time with us. Chat is always fun to read while we're doing the podcast and I was really excited to learn that I got things right for once. It's been bad. Be sure to hit
I'm
that.
going to have to fact check that.
If you're new here, be sure to hit that follow button so you'll know the next time we will be going live. And a great big thank you to everyone listening to the podcast through iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, or whatever app came out yesterday that I don't give a fuck about. But you really are the reason we keep making episodes. And remember, wherever you do listen, it would mean a shit ton to us if you gave our little podcast a rating or review. Or more importantly, tell a friend to check us out. Here with Vegan Pete, I am Avi Ale, and we will talk to you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.